sure, like at a personal level and professionally and all those kind of things, I've learned so much during this time, and I wouldn't change it, even though my life's completely different, literally, from how it was even 10 months ago, where I was doing so much different stuff and traveling a lot and away and commuting, all that kind of stuff, which I've done my whole last 16 years of my life. So it's kind of changed a lot. I wouldn't change that, but learning what it's like to be a working mum, doing more there, and I think that's been good for me, actually, really good. So I think there's a lot of blessings, but in all honesty, I think in sharing tonight, I think I want to start with the honest truth, which is, I think for me, it's been a really spiritually dry time, the last 10 months. There are pros and cons, and we think we quite liked online mass, and obviously being able to go back and get the Eucharist was great. So there's been little high points, but overall, I just feel like my relationship with the Lord has not been great, really, and just kind of a bit dry. And I think the monotony of lockdown has got to me, and I suppose I've just been reflecting on the why of that, maybe more recently. So it's kind of the Lord's ironic timing to ask me to share on that this evening, in the sense that, for me, I think what I've realized is I find the Lord in action, or maybe I seek him more when I'm in action. So, my old life, and the fact that I used to have to run around doing lots of things and lots of talks that stressed me out, or speeches or travel or whatever it was that stressed me out a lot. So I was seeking him all the time in that sense of weakness. Whereas I think in the predictability and the monotony, perhaps it's hard, maybe I'm a bit self-reliant even, and haven't been seeking him, although I've felt the lack. But also, I suppose, in fact, what you're sharing, Jenny, that, I think in stretching oneself to go out and seek the other, you need him, right? And then maybe that's just my take from your sharing is actually that desire to look around you and look for the other. But above all, I think what I've realized more than anything, that I find Jesus, I meet him in a unique and special way, and the Holy Spirit in worship, and just singing myself, but more importantly, communally with others, and just realizing that my life has been littered with these grace moments, the mountain moments, whether it's at Sion or going to other conferences, of amazing worship that kind of tides me through the next few months. But that's where I meet with him in a really deep way, and just not having had that for 10 months has just been, I think, the source and root of that dryness. And I was sharing this with Father James, my local priest in confession, and careful what you say to your local priest in confession, because he's then asked me this week to come and sing for the lockdown mass, because they've not been allowed to have music, and he wanted some music. And so I was singing on Sunday, and it just hit me really hard as I was worshiping and singing a couple of songs, some like little hymns, really not, and the psalm. What it is about worship that I think speaks to me, and why I need it more, or perhaps why it's deeper. And I think there is something in worship that it's slower. I hear the words more slowly. I really think about what I'm singing. And of course, it's St. Augustine, isn't it? That when you sing, you pray twice. And I think perhaps that is that sense that you're praying with your mouth, but you're praying with your mind and with your voice and with your heart, like when you sing, or at least for me. And somehow, like, I'm giving more of myself when I'm singing. And I really felt that, just this Sunday, being able to do that again in a kind of way that was also like, Father was like, oh, this is evangelistic, because there's been 5,000 people, unbelievably, live streaming Maldon parish mass, which is just ridiculous. Like, we have 200 people come to our mass. I mean, like, so I also just think that there's unbelievable opportunities. I've seen this in my job as well. Unbelievable opportunities for us to grasp in this time of lockdown, spiritually, professionally, and we're learning stuff. So it's capturing that, isn't it, in the midst of the difficulties. But it also turns out that it's not just when you sing that you get that moment, it's also in the reading. So the reading I was reading, because I was only me and Father in church, was from the Book of Wisdom. And I don't ever remember reading this reading, but I want to share it with us tonight, and a few points from it. So I'll read it quickly, but then I'll draw out where I think, what the Lord wants to say to us this evening. So the Book of Wisdom, it says, be quick to anticipate. So the wisdom I take to mean the Holy Spirit, right? So I'm reading this. Be quick to anticipate those who desire her, speaking of wisdom. She makes herself known to them. Watch for her early, and you will have no trouble. You will find her sitting at your gates. Even to think about her is understanding fully grown. Be on the alert for her, and anxiety will quickly leave you. She herself walks about looking for those who are worthy of her, and graciously shows herself to them as they go, in every thought of theirs, coming to meet them. And I was just blown away by that reading on Sunday. I was just like, this is just literally what I needed to hear. You know, we don't need to strive for him. And the words that I pulled out of this reading is, we just need to desire him, the Holy Spirit, her, the wisdom. I love the fact that it's female, actually. The Lord's teaching me so much about the whole gender stuff at the moment. Anyway, desire her, watch for her, the presence of the Holy Spirit early. All you have to do is desire and watch. But also, God's doing something else. When we desire and watch, she makes herself known to them. She's sitting at your gates. It's reciprocal. He's looking for you as we just think. The next one is to think, just to think and to ponder. You know, it's so simple, isn't it? And be alert. And then what happens is she herself walks looking for those, and the sense that the Holy Spirit is graciously showing us himself to us, or herself to us, in every thought. So we can trust that our thoughts, even in this time, are coming from him when we're thinking on the Lord, when we're desiring the Lord, when we're watching from the Lord. All of that comes. And just the final thought I want to mention, a lot of us have been praying the surrender novena this year, and actually it's not just Zion. I've heard lots of the different Christian networks I'm attached with speaking about the word surrender, and I suppose it's just appropriate at this time. Like, what can you do? Well, nothing really. You offer it to the Lord. But the more I reflect on surrender isn't passive. And I think, you know, earlier this year we prayed the novena quite actively for something, but then the Lord provided that thing, but we hadn't prayed for it. We'd surrendered it. And then more recently, there's been a few things where it's almost felt like I've been a bit complacent, you know, in the sense of, well, the Lord will provide whatever, right? You don't need to pray. Well, you do pray, but it's just nonchalant. And I feel like in that sense of surrender, we still need to pray for things. We still need to desire, watch, be alert, think about those things, but then trust that the Lord is going to provide for us in all that we need, more than we can ask or imagine. And that is my experience, even just in the last few days. Like, he's provided this desire for my heart to sing again, even in the midst of lockdown, and it was more than I could have asked or imagined. So